Welcome to the Solemn Vanguard channel. Today we are doing this ZTB deck profile updated after booster GBT14. And as always, this beautiful zero damage gaming playmat will be available at the link in the description. Now, before we get into the video, I will say there's actually two versions of this deck I really wanted to build. And so this is the first version, this is pure ZTB, but I've got another deck profile coming up for ZTB/Time Leap, some sort of hybrid that actually works really well with Dust. Getting into the deck profile, we start off, of course, with our 4 Chrono Jet Dragon Z. This card single-handedly with Chrono Dran Z basically transformed this deck. The fact that you can get rid of starters or just any threat on your opponent's field right from the get-go, the almost free striding, being able to fetch stuff without actually minusing your own field, together then with the consistency that Chrono Dran Z gives you, just made this deck so much better. And also, his design is so much cooler. Like I said it before, I really didn't like the blue on the original Chrono Jet, but this white, this silver, this is so beautiful. I'm super hyped for it. This guy just has everything. Almost free striding, board disruption, building your own field, together with your first stride Pegasus. Like, you can do lots of interesting combo stuff. Then for the other grade 3s, it's actually pretty interesting because you don't want to write this. I run this purely for the name consistency, but even that is not that important anymore. Then again, Ox also lost some of his usefulness because we no longer run Groovy and we use Heritage to actually lower our GB count. So I'm really iffy on them and I'm like, is there something better? Maybe. I had one card in mind that I really want to try, but then again, it works better in the Timely variant. Like, I run them. Ox is sometimes clutch. This is just to have an extra grade 3 in the deck. Overall, you could run whatever you want here. 4 of our Party Dragon. This is just probably the best 10k that they ever came up with. You run Chrono Dran Z, so your bind zone is never 0 unless Kagero destroyed it beforehand. And then he just creates extra attacks and it's like, there's really no downside to this card. It's just so good. Then 3 Cruising Boy to start plussing really fast, together with your first stride Pegasus. Only 2 Unicorn. You can fetch so much with this deck that it really doesn't matter that you run these odd small ratios. You will get to them if you need them. And of course, this card is super good with Sheep and Dust. Then we have a new addition. This one is actually way better than I had thought initially. The biggest issue with CTB has always been quite weak rear guards, like sure, cruising pluses and your pony creates extra attacks, but you never had gigantic rear guards where you're like, whoa, insane. But this one does become really big, and so that makes that visor turn extra threatening. It makes your gear next turn extra pressuring. Like, it's just a really solid card, and as I said, you only run 2 because you can fetch it anyway. 4 Arca because you can recycle it. 4 Stride Fodder. Now, some people are like, oh, but you strike for free anyway, so why does it matter? Well, in the early game, if you have a wrong grade 3 or even a right grade 3 actually, you can just call him, then fetch for your right grade 3, ditch the other one, and then you can actually stride with the ditched one from the get-go, so you don't minus yourself for fetching with him like you would in another deck. If you want, however, you could definitely bump this to 3. 4 Transit Boy, still super good on the Pegasus turn, also fuels your soul, which is very important in this deck. 3 Lego Boy, creates big columns, which is something, as I said before, ZTB used to miss. And also, it's your free stride from the drop zone. And of course, it also fuels your bind zone, which is nice for the new G-Guard. 1 Lishma, which is like a soul charge / counter charge engine right here. And you can fetch it, so I only run 1. You could run 2. 4 of the new ZTB Crit, which lets you counter charge, which is always nice. It used to be a problem in the old version, which is why we ran Codal. You could still run Codal, considering that the other grade 3s are pretty meh. So this one actually fixes that problem. 4 Sheep, I've seen some people push him down because the combos with Pony are less good now compared to what's out there. Regardless, it's in here, there's still hella value. And then for crits, just to keep people on their toes, you could definitely pump this up to 4, or some people even started running Hard Thump Worker. But just look at this guy. How could you cut him? How could you cut such a cutie? 4 of the new Heal to counter charge and soul charge. And then Chrono Dran Z. Look, it's this one, so fucking cute and just so busted. It's not as versatile as Conroe, but it's better than Conroe in another way. It's just such a consistent beast. If you don't have Stride Fodder, go fetch Stride Fodder. If you don't have your grade 3, go fetch your grade 3. If you don't have a PG, go fetch your PG. Like, sure, it only checks the top 5 cards, but you will usually find a really good target in there anyway. For the G-Zone, we run 2 Visor. Now, some people run 1, and I get why. You don't really need to run 3 or 4. You will still sometimes have an odd game where you can go into the second, so that's why it's here, and we have room for it anyway. So this is the insane card that gives you an extra turn, and now that we actually have rear guards that actually do quite some pressure, that extra turn just became way better. And of course, I mean, I don't have to explain to you why an extra turn is good. So then 1 Dust. Obviously the most broken ZR in the game. Generally with the multi-attacking this deck can do, this card can easily finish your opponent even if he has fucking 15 cards in hand. It doesn't matter, just destroy them. 2 Gear next. We only run 2 because you will generally be able to go into Visor after him anyway and then reuse him. 2 Avenir Phoenix for if everything goes wrong. And of course he can also put some pressure. 1 Sea Breeze because it is a G deck. 1 of this for if everything truly goes wrong. When you can't stride, even there's nothing in your drop zone, like he's there and we have the broom. 1 of this Pony, create some insane plays on first stride. 1 new Uluru, because this way you can hit gigantic numbers with your G guards, and that's always fun. After you did this one, you can't go into gear next. Well, you can, but you won't be able to do it fully. So if you have this one phase up and nothing else after using him, you can then use Uluru, flip something up, and then you're ready for your actual gear next turn again. 1 of the old Uluru to send some triggers back. 1 Heter around because it's still an annoying card for quite some decks. And then 2 of the new ZTB G guard. Not only does she hit really high numbers once you start binding a lot, she's also ZTB, which is amazing because this way you could actually turbo yourself to Heritage even faster. So sometimes you can really cheese that second stride Heritage. Regardless, you will usually not do that. So that was it for the ZTB deck profile. As I said, I will be doing a hybrid between ZTB and Time Leap as well because it's actually really good, like both variants of the deck work. And as always, you can get this beautiful Chronojet playmat at zerodamagegaming.com. Link will be in the description. Use the code LAUNCH to get 10% off your first order. Subscribe to the Solemn Vanguard channel, click the bell button to stay up to date, and I will see you soon. Ciao.